I don't even really want to do this, but I feel I have to, just because I need a record and a sanity check, just to make sure that by the end of this year, I am in fact still sane. I am Dread Joker, as many of you know. In fact, anybody in my community knows. This is a recap of probably what most of you have come to expect from me, the long-running chain of excuses as to why I am absent. So, this is the immediate rundown of that. And I have been putting this off for a long time because I have been trying just to cope with this shit. And I'm coming up empty. So, let's start at the beginning of this year, starting with my birthday on January the 13th. It went over pretty well. I mean, it was a birthday. I spent it with my brother. The same thing I do same thing I've done for the last few years. Pretty uneventful. Pretty fun. Got to hang out with one of my other friends too. Got to share some of my birthday food with him, so things worked out pretty well. Got a new computer, so it made this channel kind of take off, and even in the process. I got a camera finally. That's what helped start the toy review segment, or toy/model kit, just review segments in general, because I finally have a decent camera now. February, it started to hit. So, starting with the major virus and stuff, excuse me for 1 second, and the noise has gone away, and it's back again. February was, as many people are aware. Oh my god. I try to get one video in a week, maybe. Can't even have that right now. So, if you're wondering why my voice is a lot deeper than it is normally, it's because I lost my frickin' mind today, and I screamed so loud I think I might have actually torn part of my throat. Today's date is Thursday, December 17th, 2020. It is currently 4:06 p.m. for me. This is a running log. February started, as many of you are aware, that's when what I've begun to call, not mockingly anymore, because it has actually been the most appropriate moniker I could ever give it. February is when started the year of hell, because for the entire world, this has been an absolute hell that has never improved. And for many who are still in this hell, believe me, I sympathize. I have had more close calls this year than I have in the last 10 years combined. February started, or at least for the United States, we finally acknowledged the existence of the virus. And over time, it got progressively worse, because in February also started the riots. And with that came millions, tens of millions of dollars worth of destruction across the country. And I'm not saying that these were justified. I'm not saying they weren't unwarranted, but in most people's cases, after the lockdowns came into effect, they were, for the most part, completely bored. They needed an excuse to get out, and this provided it. I'm not going into any further than that. I don't want to start a war. That'll be a conversation for a different day after my throat's healed. Jump forward. even further, to family problems. There were many. And when said member of the family decided to abandon us without telling us what was going on, it felt like somebody had just run a knife through our back. When they finally got home, we had, and the background noise continues, when they had finally gotten home and messaged us after we had cleaned up their mess that they had left here, they had, I will not go into their personal problems because this is like insanely dark. It is, I don't want to go there because I'm already in a bad place as is. A lot of you know that I have a nice, generally joking a nice joking demeanor. Now you get to see how funny I really am sometimes. Jump forward to, I want to say it was, actually jump forward to summer. Summer, if it was not for the fact that we had installed window air conditioners in this house, both my mother and I would be dead right now. Because it was hotter than it was in 2016. In 2016, it was approximately, at last check, because the thermometer I have on my wall in my room, I could not read it anymore. So it was approximately 132 degrees in the house in 2016, in June, for a week. This landed my mother and I in the hospital. It started with me. I go in for severe dehydration. I'm out. 24 hours later, my mother hits the floor like a cannonball. I have to I all but slap her awake. And I get her, after a long argument, to the emergency room. The chief medical officer working the emergency room at the time turned to me, and I will never forget this. My mother was in complete renal failure. For those of you who do not know what that is, her kidneys were completely offline. She had less than 2 hours to live when I got her there. Luckily, she survived. However, while we were in there, a surgery had to be performed on her foot after a infection was found, and they had to amputate her toe. Keep this in mind because this is about to play a huge role in the next part. This year, in approximately, let's say September, so much has happened. I have lost all track of time. She landed during the height of the virus. I had to rush her to the hospital again. She was in the hospital for 9 days. 9 days I was not allowed to see my own mother. Luckily, it was not the virus. We dodged that bullet, luckily. However, the surgery performed in 2016 had left an abscess, a toxic growth, if you will, in the wound where her toe used to be. So she gets out. They discharge her a little early, and they give me general wound care that I have been taking care of my mother for going on 14 years now. So I have a lot of personal care experience, and they gave me just enough medical supplies to change her bandage, which needed to be changed every 24 hours, twice. I had to improvise whatever I could just to keep her alive and healthy. I take her to see Doc. He gets her into a new wound care clinic because I was running myself ragged. I was pulling 48-hour shifts almost every other day. And I was completely out of it most days. Borderline unresponsive most days. Now, I would like to add, I don't drink. I don't do any illicit substance. And the only time I will ever smoke is the day I accidentally set myself on fire. At which point, it's not optional, it's mandatory. I'm on fire. We get her into the new wound care clinic. And they get her wound taken care of within what would have been, at my last estimate, a 1.5 year recovery. They get it done in approximately 2.5 months. This was astonishing to me. She is now up and walking around on her foot after some nice bad news. She now has, this is referred to, it's like general wear and tear on your heart. She now has a leaky valve. It's not serious, but the more stress she exerts, the worse it gets. So I'm terrified that I'm going to lose my mother. And I think that's something we all are terrified of that. However, after this, she starts falling. And I don't know what the cause of this is. We've gotten her in to see the doctor, and we have no idea what's going on. Jump forward to more recently. We have been getting food boxes every Thursday and Friday for the last, basically since the pandemic started. We have been getting these for multiple families on our street who are either unable to provide for their own families or are unable to get the food themselves. This had been hell, more physically than anything else. A lot of people in my communities, or that talk to me in the community, they know this already, that my days for those days started on Thursday it started at 4 a.m. and the next day it started at 3 a.m. And that was just to get the food boxes by 7. That was every Thursday and Friday for 12 months. Jumping further, because I had to tell that one to tell this one. And this is not me bitching or looking for sympathy. This is a record. Just so I have documentation of how far one can fall in a year. In April of this year, 2020, I was made aware of a mining project, essentially in my backyard. I live near a mountain range called Twin Knolls. This mountain range is approximately 1/4 to a 1/2 mile long in length, 1/4 mile wide, and approximately 300 feet tall. I have estimated there is no less than 1,000 tons of rock here. This is in the absolute heart of a residential area. There are, at absolute minimum, 1,300 people in this area. That is factoring in one person to every lot. We technically are in the county, and as per Maricopa County regulations, These were written back in the 1800s when the county was first being founded and Arizona was first being settled. That no citizen or otherwise can interfere with a county mining operation. These are 200-year-old laws that are in one of our local provisions somewhere. I forget the exact county charter code at the moment, so it escapes me. However, over the next decade, starting next March, they are going to be blasting this mountain range to a level. They're going to flatten it using explosives. I care fucking less about the noise. I'm used to my neighbors doing it already. But the cloud of dust it's going to kick up will be fatal to a lot of people. There are people 25 feet from the blast site. I am lucky enough to be roughly 2,000 feet from it. Roughly. I'm not even a third of a mile from it. So when I say backyard, this is too fucking close for comfort. The company that is going to be doing this is known for cutting corners. I cannot say their name because I do not want to be sued. One of the things they did not perform is a radiological survey. I know a lot of you might be wondering, why would you need to perform a radiological survey? Well, due to our proximity to Nevada, in Nevada, in the Mojave Desert, if you dig down about 10, 12 feet, you'll encounter a substance known as thorium. Thorium, for those of you who are not very well versed in science, is the safest and most stable naturally occurring nuclear element. It is completely safe. However, the isotopes it decays into over time are a massive biohazard. Now, why did I bring up that? Because thorium is also found in the gem known as tourmaline. This is possibly in any amount in that gigantic rock pile essentially in my backyard. If there is any amount of that in there and it gets blasted and it actually becomes aerosolized, that is technically a dirty bomb. And tourmaline, like the isotopes, they can give you cancer, like very fast. The isotopes are that radioactive. And this company did not do that. They didn't look into that. The last company we had back out here in 2016 that was doing anything in this county area is they were replacing the water lines, and I will never forget this. 2016. Actually, no, even before that, this was my grandmother was still alive, so it was before 2016. They were replacing the water line. Water line, gas line. They're about 7-8 feet apart. They're digging up the water line. They strike the gas line. I will never forget this. Because you will never in your lifetime ever forget being woken up by the fire department in full hazmat gear saying, "Get out quickly, but move slowly." I will never forget that. No matter what happens in my life, I'll never forget that terror of walking down my driveway and seeing a 10-foot spew of gas coming from my neighbor's yard. And the way the houses in this area are positioned, if one house goes, it'll take the next house next to it. It'll take the house next to it, and the one next to that, and a domino effect. This company is just as skilled as that company that was replacing the water lines. They have said on record during the meeting that we were there for that they are going to attempt to douse the area with water, and if that doesn't work to contain the dust cloud, which is inevitable, they are going to be spraying a chemical to hold the dirt down. A chemical. I would like to point out that the number of citizens in this state that live here full-time have severe asthma, like myself, that is heat-induced. For people wondering, well, how do you get asthma from it just being hot? It got so hot, the air just breathing in damaged our lungs. And that is like, if it was humid here, that would be one thing. Hot and humid feels like somebody's just sitting on your chest. Hot and dry feels like somebody is ripping it out slowly. And over time, once this blasting starts, I may have to leave my home. I've lived here. As of next year, I will have been here 26 years. This has been my home for all of that time. So keep in mind, this is 2020. I've almost died multiple times. I almost lost my mom multiple times. I'm scared to death that I'm about to lose my house. The only place I have left. And now here's what happened today. The reason why I am making this video, and the reason why, if anybody sees any anomalous posts from me, I have probably been drinking, and I have an alcohol tolerance so low that I can't drink anything. I can't drink any degree of alcohol, or I get shit-faced drunk immediately. We go, and we get the food boxes today. Everything is going pretty well. We're out there freezing our nuts off because, of course, it's, turns out at 5 a.m. when you're sitting there, it's about 25 degrees in the car. Who knew? During winter when we actually get it. We get the food boxes, we get them home, we get them sorted, repacked, and distributed to the neighbors, because when you're given 180 loose eggs, you have to repack them quickly. So we get all that taken care of. The neighbors have been fed. We took supplies down to my friend downtown, and they were happy to see the supplies, to put it gently. Coming back home, I have been up since yesterday. Since 4:35 yesterday morning, or yesterday afternoon. So in 8 minutes, it will have been 24 hours for me. And it's going to get fun from here. Coming home, my mother and I just decided that all we wanted to do was, because we had to be up and out of the house, we had to be up by 2:40, dressed by 3, and out of the house by 3:20. Just to be in line by 3:40. Because this is the last food box of the year. When it was Thanksgiving at the Mesa Convention Center, if you all thought you've heard the term parking lot before, you've never seen it this bad. The cars were parked end to end, not vertically in the spaces, no, The entire parking lot, just that one lot they have there, probably had pretty close to 300 vehicles in it. And that line wrapped all the way around the facility, all the way out into the street, around University, blocking the intersection of University and Center, cascaded all the way down Center. By 7 a.m., when we started moving, there had to be 1,300 people in line. Everyone was observing everyone was observing the mask policy and stuff like that. We were all in our cars. We were all sealed up, buttoned up, Well, most of us, the ones that have functioning windows, were able to roll them up. For those of us who did that, we knew what to expect come, technically, tomorrow's food box, the 18th. And so with tomorrow being the last food box of the year, we were getting all set. I had all my equipment charged that I needed to have charged so that we could sit there and not, just be twiddling our thumbs. And so we had it all planned out. We go get some Chinese food because we just needed some simple takeout, and the place we were going to stop at, the line was all the way around the building, and we just said, fuck it. We go get that, and we head home. Turning up our street, one of our neighbors had let their dog loose, and it was just running around running around the street. So we did what any compassionate person would do. We tapped the brakes to avoid crushing the poor little puppy. Puppy ran out. Front end of the car slammed into the ground because the fucking front end had just shattered. So let's just run a recap. I've almost died multiple times. I've almost lost my mother multiple times. I'm probably about to lose my house that I've lived in for 26 years, and now I have no vehicle, so I can't get out. We have no evacuation plans now. That car was our only lifeline, and it's currently sitting in the garage 3.5 miles from my house. If it wasn't for the fact that my brother had just got a new car, there would have been no way for us to have even finished getting home. And this was the best part about everything. The front end, so there is now a foot-long gash on the road where the front end decided to slam into the ground so hard that we couldn't even get it up without heavy lift gear. It was less than 1,000 feet from my driveway. If the fucking front end had not decided to buckle, I could have put the vehicle in neutral and pushed it home. Keep in mind, I'm saying this is a recap, because I am under enough stress right now. Legally, physically, and emotionally, I should be dead right now. I don't know how the next few weeks are going to go. I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do because this whole fucking YouTube thing's not working out for me very well. In the 10 years I have been operational, I have made one paycheck in 10 years. One. That's not me complaining about my revenue. That's me saying that YouTube is not even remotely a viable option. With my mother's health, I can't go very far from the house. Without the car, If one of the air conditioners goes out, we have no way to evacuate. Ironically, because of the air conditioners, I now have to seal up the entire house. Because if they start, or I'm sorry, when they start blasting, the very things that are now keeping us alive are going to kill us. And this may sound like I'm being a fatalist, but having everything go wrong like this, back to back to back, I'm sorry, I'm having a real fucking hard time seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, because right now, that light is looking like the light. And it's not looking positive at the moment, so I'm trying to take it, I'm not going to take it day by day, and right now I'm trying to take it hour by hour if I can. And the whole video stuttered because I accidentally slapped my keyboard and the software stuttered. As usual efficiency with me, you all know it and you all love it. So, I have been in talks. Oh, I forgot the other big one. Starting tomorrow, the apocalypse. Yeah. This has been covered in multiple times. Multiple people. Review Tech USA has covered this. A YouTube lawyer, yeah, I believe lawyer, Ian Corzine has covered this. This is being shoved into the omnibus package, I believe it's called. It is for the United States stimulus package that was sent out to all residents of the United States. I don't know if you want to say citizens, but it was to filers and non-filers through the IRS. This bill is one of those things that has to be put through to counterbalance the fact that we just blew through the entire national budget for next year in this year, just for the stimulus package, because we were not prepared for 2020. And one of the provisions that was tacked on in a backroom deal, and we all love that when we hear backroom and politics in the same sentence, because we all know we're getting screwed. And the difference is we don't, depending on who did it, we may be getting the lube before we get shafted. In this case, we're not. Lube is a step up. North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis. Remember this name. You can look it up if I remember. I will include links in the description below. Has passed a bill, and I partially agree with this. Partially. I don't on every topic. This is draconian to the absolute extreme. The bill is primarily targeted at Twitch. I'm not active on Twitch, because honestly I read their terms of service. And Twitch said if I'm active over on YouTube, then they won't let me use their service. I said, okay. I'm not burning down a 10-year career to go please you. You can go beat it. But here's the catch. This bill, in the summary, is aimed to make any and all copyright infringements, so DMCA claims, will now be felonies. Because this politician, and you can check any article on him, he is that corrupt. He has taken PAC donations from every major media company operating in the United States. Every single one. And I have to love Review Tech USA because he went over this in such detail, even going into the donation records, because we have those. He said, One of the things he said, wow, $1,000. Wow, senators are really cheap these days. Mm-hmm. They are. Because he's been trying to do this since last year, too. The only difference is it's starting with Twitch because they want to stop, it's basically like internet piracy and whatnot, or like the illicit obtaining or the illicit acquisition of copyrighted materials. This is mainly aimed at, like, so here's the really short version of that, because I know I just confused the hell out of a lot of you. If you use a copyrighted song in a video or in a video game, congratulations, you just committed a felony. And I've read this entire thing. There are no provisions in it to handle people who abuse the system. So this is a 100% pro-corporation thing. So we, the little people in this case, and it doesn't matter if you make 5 cents on YouTube, it doesn't matter if you make 5 imaginary cents on YouTube, 5 imaginary cents or $5 million on YouTube, it doesn't matter. Any copyrighted material will land you a felony. What does that mean? Well, it means you're going to prison. Not jail. Jail is local. Prison is national. This is going to put a strain on the economy. This is going to overtax the prison system. There's going to have to be a new court system devised for this. This is going to set... If you thought February with the riots, if you thought that was bad, that was the warm-up for what's coming. I don't want to see that. I don't. We've all gone through enough this fucking year. We all can't take any more of this. I know we can't. This is completely fucking outrageous that this is even happening. Like, and being shoehorned in like this on a must-pass bill means that this will be enforced. And going back to it, like I said, I don't give two flying fucks about... Like, you can look at any part of this desert. That is the field in which I grow my fucks. Note that it is barren. That's how little I care about Twitch. But here's the thing. I give one minuscule, tiny fucking iota fuck about what happens next. Because it's not just aimed at Twitch. It's all social media platforms. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Parler, BitChute, everything. When one starts burning, and this is coming from a guy who lives in a desert and has a lot of fucking friends who live in California, and they have seen this shit on a daily goddamn basis. One spark will start an uncontrollable wildfire. It only takes one. And they're not looking at the current data. Every bit of data they have is roughly 2 or 3 years old. Can you see why I'm probably going to start drinking at this point? Because I wish the Men in Black were real, so we could just erase 2020 from our memories forever. Neuralize the entire planet. Keep the advances. Neuralize the planet. We don't want to remember this shit. So, one of the things I heard we could possibly do is contact our local representatives for this. I highly doubt this will help anything. But the amazing part about this is, throughout all of this, Amazon, the company that owns and operates Twitch, has remained silent. They've said nothing. Absolutely nothing. That kind of worries me. Because Amazon has a lot of these people in their pocket too. So, unless Amazon's going to make something really big off of this is going to be a problem. And we're all about to get screwed by it. We're going to get nuked hard. So I hope you all enjoyed having, I hope you all enjoyed having your soapbox moments, because think about it this way. If companies wanted to take this to the absolute extreme, which they probably will, it's a company. It's a big corporation. They always do. Because they only care about one thing. Money. They don't care about the product. EA churns out the same thing. Every Call of Duty is the same game with a new fucking coat of paint every time. Every year. Every year, too, by the way. Okay, so if I had a fancy editor and something like that, I'd have them insert, Joker's soapbox moment, because I'm here. They don't care as long as somebody pays. And if they want to take it to that extreme, what's going to happen to the charity event Games Done Quick? I'm sure you've all heard of it, GDQ. For those of you who haven't heard of it, it is a charity event hosted on Twitch and over on YouTube that just last year, if my memory is correct, we were able to donate. I say we. It was only like a couple bucks from me, but it's all I could spare. We were able to raise approximately $3.7 million for Doctors Without Borders. 2020 happened. Do you think that money did not go to use for the doctors? They got a $3.7 million funding bump because a group of gamers came together and helped. What's going to happen if everything is copyrighted like that? All the music. You can disable the audio in a video game, sure, that's fine. What about those cutscenes, pre-rendered cutscenes that have the songs going? You can't use those, not like many speedrunners would use them anyways, but what if they're unskippable? What if it's a forced cutscene that you can't avoid? What if it's, and if they're going to take it that far, then the next thing that happens after the audio comes the video. And if that happens, there goes it all. That's no streaming anymore. That's no... And the reason why it comes down to this is because in the United States, it all comes back to us, doesn't it? Streaming is regarded, according to legal definition, as a public performance, which makes you bound by public performance laws. Isn't that a peach? So this is going to be a long one. I am going to have to get this done in editing. So get ready to see not a lot. Not a lot of editing. I am leaving this record in the event in the event that I am so shit-faced that I end up making a complete ass of myself, as usual. Except this is so I don't accidentally burn my communities down. I don't. If I offend anyone during this, it is not my aim to offend anybody. I never try to do that. If I do ever aim to offend anybody, you will know it. But you will also probably be laughing your ass off as I am confusing the hell out of you and coming at you so far sideways that you're now having to look up words and are therefore getting smarter because of my insults. So, if I'm ever going to come at you, I'm going to roast you. Understand that. That's not aimed at any one person. I will roast an object. I have roasted TV shows in the past. You can talk to anybody in my communities. They know I am not. I am straight savage sometimes. But with everything going on, I wanted to leave this record just in case I, A, get so shit-faced drunk that I am completely incomprehensible or full-blooded Scottish at that point. There we go. There's my one. But I'm also leaving it in the event that this becomes an I told you so. So, I am praying that this absolutely does not come to pass. And overall, I'm not happy. I haven't been happy for a long time. Not since 2020 started. 2019 I was fine. 2018 I was fine. 2017 I was so-so. 2016 I was on edge. 2020 happens. I was pushed over the edge. Except somebody's still on the back, holding me by the hair. As I'm looking down at a fucking pit. So, until I get a more permanent solution drawn up, effective immediately, my content on the channel is going to be essentially on indefinite hiatus. I'm currently in talks with 3 other groups to do a merger and partially take over content for the channel, at least to give you, the community, something to watch and hopefully something to just get you through this absolute fucking hell we have been in for the last year. This year just needs to fucking end. Much like this video, because I'm tending to ramble at this point. We're going on, holy shit, we're going on an hour long. So, yeah. I don't know what to say. There's bad luck, and then there's 2020. 2020. Here's to you.